Imagine waking up one day and realizing that every word coming out of your mouth is a lie. Not because you want to deceive anyone, but because your brain simply cannot tell the difference between truth and fiction anymore. Today, we are diving into one of the most disturbing psychological conditions ever documented. This is the story of the girl who could not stop lying. Her name was Sarah. At least, that is what we will call her. By the age of 16, Sarah had constructed an entire universe of lies. She told her classmates she had survived a plane crash. She claimed her parents were secret agents. She even convinced her best friend that she had a twin sister who died at birth. But here is where it gets truly unsettling. Sarah believed every single word she said. This is not about a con artist or manipulator. This is about something far more terrifying. Something that lives inside the brain itself. Doctors call it pathological lying disorder, also known as pseudologia fantastica. And before you think this is just someone making up stories for attention, let me stop you right there. The lies told by pathological liars are not random. They're elaborate, detailed, and often semi-plausible. They weave these fabrications so seamlessly into reality that even trained psychologists struggle to separate fact from fiction. And the most chilling part? The person lying often has no idea they're doing it. Let me take you deeper. In 1999, researchers documented the case of a woman in her 30s who had told over 500 verifiable lies in just 2 years. She fabricated terminal illnesses, fake pregnancies, and even staged her own kidnapping. Her family spent thousands of dollars on medical bills for diseases she never had. When confronted, she broke down not in guilt, but in confusion. She genuinely could not understand why people were upset. But why does this happen? Pause for a second. What if I told you that pathological liars have physically different brains than the rest of us? Stay with me, because what scientists discover will change everything you think you know about lying. In 2005, neuroscientist Adrian Raine conducted brain scans on pathological liars. What he found was shocking. These individuals had 22 to 26% more white matter in their prefrontal cortex compared to normal people. White matter is essentially the wiring of the brain. More wiring means more connections, more elaborate thoughts, and crucially, a greater ability to fabricate complex stories. But it also means something darker. Their brains are literally built to deceive. Now, let us return to Sarah. As she grew older, her lies escalated. She told teachers she was being abused at home. Child Protective Services got involved. Investigations were launched. Her parents' lives were turned upside down. And through it all, Sarah maintained her story with tears streaming down her face, with genuine emotion in her voice. Because to her, it was real. This is the nightmare of pathological lying. The liar is the first victim of their own deception. Sarah was not trying to hurt her parents. Her brain had constructed a reality where the abuse was happening, where she was a victim, where every fabricated detail felt like a lived memory. Therapists who worked with her described it as watching someone drown in their own mind. But the question everyone was asking was this: could she ever stop? Here is what makes this condition so dangerous. Some experts believe that pathological liars are not just lying about their past. They are lying to create a version of themselves they wish existed. Think about that for a moment. In 2016, another case emerged that shook the medical community. A 23-year-old man named Alex had convinced everyone in his life that he was a veteran who had served in Afghanistan. He wore military uniforms. He had medals. He spoke in vivid detail about firefights and losing friends in combat. There was just one problem. Alex had never been in the military, not even for a single day. When investigators finally uncovered the truth, they found something unexpected. Alex had spent years researching military life. He had studied combat footage, memorized battalion names, and genuinely believed he had experienced these events. Brain scans revealed the same unusual white matter patterns that researchers had seen before. His therapist later said that confronting Alex with the truth was like telling someone their entire life was a dream. He did not become angry. He became terrified, because if those memories were not real, then who was he? This is the existential horror at the heart of pathological lying. When you cannot trust your own mind, you cannot trust your own identity. So what happened to Sarah? After years of therapy, cognitive behavioral treatment, and medication to address underlying anxiety and compulsive behaviors, Sarah began to recognize her patterns. But recovery was not simple. It was not like flipping a switch. Some days, she could catch herself mid-lie. Other days, she would realize hours later that she had fabricated an entire conversation and believed it happened. Her therapist explained it like this: imagine trying to hold water in your hands. You can do it for a few seconds, but eventually it slips through your fingers. That is what controlling pathological lying feels like. Today, Sarah is 32 years old. She works with a support group for people with pathological lying disorder. She has rebuilt relationships with her family, though the trust will never be quite the same. She describes her condition as living with a stranger inside her head, a stranger who speaks with her voice and believes in stories she never intended to tell. But here is the unsettling truth that researchers have discovered. Most pathological liars never get help. They live their entire lives trapped in fabricated realities, burning through relationships, jobs, and opportunities. Their families give up on them. Society labels them as manipulators or con artists. And all the while, they are prisoners of their own neurology. So the next time you hear about someone who cannot stop lying, ask yourself this: what if they truly cannot tell the difference? What if their reality is just as confusing to them as it is to everyone else? Pathological lying disorder reminds us that the human brain is far more fragile and mysterious than we want to believe. And sometimes, the scariest lies are not the ones we tell others. They are the ones we tell ourselves. If you found this case disturbing, wait until you see what we have next. There's a condition where people see others physically shrink before their eyes, where reality itself bends and twists in impossible ways. It is called Alice in Wonderland syndrome, and the stories will leave you questioning everything you think you know about perception. Check it out on the end screen now. Thank you for watching. And remember, the truth is not always what it seems.